Economist Adam Smith, another person who's no friend of liberals, said, "It is not very unreasonable that the rich should contribute to the public expense, not only in proportion to their revenue, but something more than in that proportion." Right now in America, most working class people, individual income taxes of less than $34,000 or couples of less than $68,000 pay at a 15% or lower rate. With exemptions and deductions, many pay far less and a good number pay nothing. But with what would they pay? With the cost of having a home, of raising your children, of feeding and clothing them, of providing an education and doing all the things that are part of the American dream, how can those people afford to pay more taxes? Most middle-class people, and those are people with individual taxable incomes of less than $82,400, I think that's pretty generous, pay at a 25% or lower rate. Most investment income arising from the purchase and sale of assets is taxed as capital gains and at a substantially lower rate than ordinary income. Presently it's 15%. If the Bush tax cuts are allowed to expire, it goes up to 20%. The important thing to remember is many of the most wealthy people in America don't accumulate that wealth in salaries. They accumulate that wealth through investments. They don't look at that 35% tax rate or 36% tax rate. Much of their income is shielded from taxes at all because of the corporate deductions, or they pay at the much lower 15% capital gains rate. The corporate tax rates that people talk about so much have become a joke. Virtually none of America's largest corporations pay any tax at all, or they pay a trifling. Arguing that the maximum corporate tax rate is too high has become a popular right-wing issue. In the campaign season, it's getting hotter. But in actual experience, that rate is irrelevant when the loopholes, exemptions, permit you to escape the payment of taxes altogether. I'd like to end by talking about a few comments from, I think, people who've spoken eloquently about taxes, and I think they are reason for us to think. And the first one is going to be an economist, John Steele Gordon, who is not a friend of ours, who wrote that the corporate income tax is one of the best examples in American political history of the law of unintended consequences. It was originally intended as a means to tax the rich, but it quickly became one of the prime means by which the rich have avoided taxes. Nobel laureate Paul Krugman, I think, was a very good friend of ours, and he's one of my favorite economists. I've got two comments from him. If middle-class Americans had any realistic sense of just how rich the rich really are, policy moves that cater specifically to the wealthy, such as extending the Bush tax cuts to everyone, or repeal of the inheritance tax, would face a much tougher ride. The problem with Americans today, and it's a problem that is fostered by the right-wing talk show radio hosts and Fox News, is that everyone is just one lucky circumstance away from being rich themselves. And if you happen to get lucky, don't you want to avoid having to pay any taxes too? We must be realistic, and we must be responsible in supporting our government. And the fact is, if the people who have the means to pay taxes don't pay them, there's no way we can maintain the government and the country that we all cherish. I want to thank you very much for listening, and I encourage you to vote and vote responsibly. Thank you.